Good morning, everyone. We're just going to give people a little bit of time. People are coming into the webinar. Just going to make sure before we get started that everyone's in, and then we'll kick it off with Joel Baker. We have Joel here from Total a la Mode. Joel's going to be walking us through some of the GSE guidelines that they have given. And then we have Paul Rowe from True Footage. Paul's going to walk through TrueTracts, show you kind of the basics of how it works. And then if we have time at the end, we'll entertain a couple of questions. So we're just going to give everybody a little bit of time to make sure they get joined. Thank you all for joining us today. If you have questions during the webinar, go ahead, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll be watching that. And like I said, we'll pick a couple questions. We'll try to get those answered for you at the end. I think we're sitting steady. Oh, we got a couple more people joining, but we'll give it another minute or so and then we'll get started. I'm hearing chat is disabled. We'll go ahead. We'll get that.
It looks like, Julie, that the Q&A is coming in. Like Michael just asked if this is going to be available later as a recording, and I was able to.
Oh, perfect.
That.
Let's
so
just
I think
use
we're using
that.
the Q&A. Yeah.
Yeah. So use the Q&A. So down at the bottom, you'll see I see chat and Q&A. Please use the Q&A. Thanks, guys. Sorry about that.
All right. We do have a lot of folks today. And actually, Julie, the Q&A may be a good place for you to answer some of these textually that are simple, like the one about Connecticut there. That's great. Okay. So Jared is asking, how long is this? Jared, we're going to keep this really pretty short. The True Footage team has already done some best practices and methodology walkthrough webinars that are recorded, and we're going to show how to get to those as well. Today, I want to talk briefly about what the GSEs are requiring, basically, and how that works. Just really, again, briefly, make sure that you know what the material for that looks like so that you can go and read it yourself, which I recommend that every appraiser do, to understand what the requirements are, what the policy is, and of course what is and isn't required. And then we're going to switch over, and Paul from True Footage is going to show their new product TrueTracts, which released today. Has a total integration piece, and we're going to see just the fundamentals of how that works, give you an overview of what it looks like, and how it actually works with the integration inside of Total. And then if you want to sign up for TrueTracts and test it with your MLS, then you can go do that. And I do recommend watching sort of the longer form webinars that Paul has already done and has recorded. You can watch those at will. So I'm going to now share my screen. Julie, it looks like you're going to have to. There we go. Sorry. All right. So the impetus, I believe, for all of this comes from the FHFA last year. Put out this blog post, as it were, underutilization of appraisal time adjustments, wherein, and I love this bit, this blog post does not attempt to determine the cause or propose potential solutions, and then immediately pivots to trying to determine the cause. Anyway, so Fannie Mae responded, and you can find this document by searching for Fannie Mae time adjustments. It's really just go to Google, folks, seriously. But they talk about what the market conditions analysis should look like and what's required for it. And I think probably the most telling thing is going to be the link that they have that shows the chart. Now, to be clear, the chart is not required. It's the analysis that the chart is demonstrating that is what Fannie Mae wants. So generally, what appraisers have been doing is if you've had a year of the market going up, as it were here, generally appraisers have usually been adjusting based within that upwards adjustment. So if there's been a 3% adjustment annually, a comp 6 months ago is or was often adjusted for 1.5%. And that is actually now something that Fannie Mae is specifically not wanting you to do. They want you to essentially adjust for when that sale happened or when the contract, they're specifying contract date here, obviously, when the contract was signed for that particular comparable. Now, obviously, then if the market is doing weird stuff going up and down based on whatever market analysis that you run, whatever methodology that you choose that's credible, and they don't specify, obviously, they give some examples, but they do not specify what to use. Sometimes you may adjust down, sometimes you may adjust up within, say, that 1 year for your adjustments. Now, again, the graph is not required. It's the analysis in here of the comparable contract date compared to the effective date of the appraisal report. And this is the kind of thing that a lot of appraisers haven't been historically doing recently. Now, the neat thing inside of total, and this is really the nut of it. This is where the math happens inside of total. Is if you determine through whatever methodology you use, through whatever tool that you use, be it Excel or TrueTracts or whatever, Titan Analytics, it doesn't matter. If you decide there needs to be a 1.9% adjustment for comparable, say this one that was sold back in August, I can do 2.1% into my adjustment field inside of total and hit enter, and it converts that to a percentage of the sale price automatically. And in fact, where we're going with all of this, let me dock this on the side over here. What Paul's going to show inside of TrueTracts is a table where you actually can come in and literally copy and paste into the grid inside of total and hit enter, so that TrueTracts does that analysis with you and then tells you the result of that in a way that's easy to just copy and paste. And that's fundamentally what we're doing here today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Paul Rowe from True Footage.
Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it. Okay, so I just want to spend 1 or 2 minutes talking about kind of what's going on with the GSEs and technology and how we can do better and why we need to do better. And then I'm going to do the demo. So just 1 to 2 minutes first. So the GSEs have gathered and analyzed a lot of data, and it's pretty clear that we need to do a better job analyzing the market and time adjustments. Just one stat was that 7% of appraisals over the last few years have time adjustments, when we know the markets have been moving like crazy in different places. And so the idea that only 7% of appraisals, there was a change in market over that 12-month period, that seems kind of crazy. So that stat, and then some of the other stats they put out, they're less than ideal, but I think it creates a really cool opportunity for appraisers. And so there's a growing fear in our profession that technology, the AI, the AVMs, the machine learning, it's going to start replacing appraisers, appraisal volume, and it's already started to a small degree with some of the GSEs. You know, they use their proprietary analytics algorithm to issue appraisal waivers. That's, you know, to a much lesser extent. And it's not going to happen overnight, but I think like appraisers are not going to be completely replaced. But the truth as I see it is the more we resist using technology and tools to allow us to efficiently and credibly analyze our markets, the more we add fuel to the fire that maybe alternatives should be explored. And so what's the solution? It's not technology or appraisers, it's technology and appraisers. And so we have to embrace this. So let's use technology for its highest and best use. So as that relates to market analysis, it's processing massive data sets and completing thousands of calculations in seconds. It's providing a statistical foundation for time adjustments. It's identifying and providing intuitive visual evidence of market trends so that we can analyze it and then we can convey it to the client in a way that's really easily understood. And then the appraiser steps in and we refine the analysis. We use our local market knowledge and experience. We reconcile those results into the market realities, and then we defend those conclusions with clear data-backed reasoning. If we tried to manually analyze and chart every market nuance to the level of precision that's possible with technology today, it would take us weeks to complete each appraisal. We'd be charging $4,000, and it wouldn't be economically feasible to borrow a used pet term. So that's why we built TrueTracts. We want to empower appraisers with faster, more accurate, and defensible market analysis. It's not to replace. It does not replace appraisers. It makes us stronger. So I hope that message, it comes across with the intent that I meant for it to, which is just to motivate everyone to try and up your game, elevate your analysis. I'm going to do a demo now of TrueTracts that shows you how you can do that in, hang on, I'm sharing my screen here, in 5 minutes or less. The actual demo will take more than 5 minutes because I'm going to explain some things, but okay, can you guys, Julie, everybody see my screen? Yep, cool. Okay, so I'm going to create a session. I am going, and this is not meant to be an in-depth training. This is just meant to give you an overview on how the tool works. I'll go into some training resources at the end. I'm going to enter in some subject features here. Pick the form type, save and classify. Okay, so the tool has a live data feed from the MLS. So we're getting all the MLS listings and sales every day. We have them for the last 5 years. And so what the tool does, it expands out. It looks at a universe of 6,000 sales over the last 5 years and provides that as a basis for the analysis. I'm going to then, again, I'll go into more detail in the actual training, but I would go and use these to help me draw my initial boundaries. I'm going to draw some submarket boundaries. And the reason I want to do this is I want it to train a model to figure out where I want to grab my comps from, where I want to grab the right data from, and we'll get into that in a second. Let me enter in some filters. So why am I doing this? This is just to make sure that the properties that I'm grabbing are competitive with the subject. We know that Fannie and Freddie have said that they want market analysis to be done on properties that are competitive with the subject. Minus. And I'm just applying some basic sale price filters here. I'm not filtering by price. If you notice here, if I remove those, I have 461 properties. When I apply them, it dropped down 30. It's less than 10% of the sales I removed. I just want to get rid of the outliers on the high and the low end. And right now it's really cool. So it's training a statistical model on all of the home sales within those neighborhood boundaries. It's taking that model and then it's going to apply it to every single sale outside of those boundaries to try to predict the sale price. So I want to say that one more time because it's confusing, but it's one of the coolest things this is doing. It's training a model based on every one of the home sales in these boundaries that lie within the filters that I just applied to understand what the relationship between features and sale price is. It's then taking that model, and every one of these red dots is a sale in the last 5 years that lie within those filters. It's trying to predict based on this model what that sale price is. If it predicts it within 3%, it's dark green. If it predicts it within 3 to 6%, it's a lighter green up here in the north. And if it is more than 6%, if it's an inferior location, it becomes blue. The darker the blue, the more dissimilar. And the same thing with red. So you'd see here, basically what this model did was when it predicted the sale prices of these properties, it adjusted for time and features and all of those things. And after controlling for those variables, what was left is location, and it's realized that these are selling for 23% more. Said a different way, if I were to grab comps from here and I were to grab comps from the dark green area and adjust them in my report, these would probably adjust 23% higher approximately. So step one is you start with this. But what did we learn? We learned that not only does it apply it and predict sale prices outside the model, it then tries to do it inside the model as well to really help us fine tune. And so the model just learned that these properties down here are not similar. And so I want to iterate on that model. And so I'm going to cut some of those other properties out. I want to apply the same filters. And what's it doing now? It's retraining that a statistical model. It's reapplying that, trying to guess and predict the sale prices, and it's recreating that heat map for us. Okay, cool. And now I feel good about this. Most of the subject submarket is all in green. But what's also really cool about this tool, one of the biggest problems we've seen with time adjustments and with feature adjustments with Synapse is when the adjustments don't give you results that make sense. A lot of times it's because you either don't have enough data or you don't have good data. And so what this tool does is it automatically creates this other cluster of green properties. You can see I toggle that on and off. When I toggle that on, it's showing me where properties that lie within the filters I just applied are in dark green areas. It's basically saying that those properties have similar features to the subject and they're selling for similar prices. And so if we need more data, it's automatically grabbed another 390 properties for us to analyze. There's some other really cool things we can do here. I'm not going to go into those right now because we don't have time. So I'm going to move on to the market analysis. Okay, and so we see here we have the sale price trend. What's really cool here is it is using the adjusted sale price before plotting all of these dots on the line. So this is a 5-year trend, but what this is indicating is the 12-month change. So you have adjusted sale prices plotted on the line. You have a GAM, a generalized additive model, line fit through the data. You have over here, you can see we've even included pending sales, which I think is really cool because it helps you fine tune what's going on most recently. So if you don't like those pending sales, you can simply turn them off and it will remove them from the model. But in our testing, we found that the pending sales are super helpful to really fine tuning what's going on in the most recent time period. You might say, how do you use a pending sale? You don't know what it's going to sell for. If you go down here to sale to final list price ratio, we have analyzed that and we figured out in this market, they're selling for 96.6% of their last list price. And therefore, we can adjust those down to predict what they're going to sell for prior to plotting them on the line. This is the absolute most robust analysis you can do with a tool on the market today. Okay, so we have the sale price trend. We create the automated commentary for you. You have the ability to control this. If you say 5.7% year over year in my market is stable, you can do that. I don't recommend it. You can add additional commentary if you want, but we've written it for you. And then you have down here. So if I'm only looking at 1 year, let's look at 1 year of data. I come down here, I have my time adjustments. If my comp 1 went under contract in March, I simply just triple click, Control C, I go to total, Control V, and it makes that calculation for me. I want to point out these little tool tips. These are going to be super helpful for you guys as you move through the tool, especially the first few times. These are going to help you understand what's going on in that section. We have a housing supply trend. All of these, so this increasing housing supply and shortage and marketing time, these are all going to be used to check those boxes on page 1 that we have. And now you have support for why you check those boxes. You didn't just check them arbitrarily. Sale to final list price ratio. This is great for adjusting, as I said, your contingents and your pendings. Sale to original list price ratio. This is really good to adjust your active listings. We have distress trends. In markets where we have reliable seller concession trend data from the MLS, we provide those. In markets where we don't want to be misleading to you guys or give you info that's flawed, so we just don't show those charts. Down here, you're going to get all of this will be filled out in total. You'll see the 1 unit housing trends. You see this is the trends. This is the, the high, the low, the predominant. We have some notes here. This is just some guidance to help you. This is page 2. So this is at the top of page 2. We're going to fill that out for you with the integration with total. Again, just some notes and some guidance. And then you can go through here and you could fill out your 1004 MC if you have to. If you don't want to include it, there's a setting where you just, if you're not including that, you don't have to do this part, but it does it for you. We have some notes. We have some suggested commentary to add. I suggest potentially putting this down here on this last line. This is a revision defender. This is basically saying, look, you required the 1004 MC. I did it like you told me to and like you asked me to. However, this is very flawed. I did a much more robust market analysis. That's what I relied on to reconcile all my trends. And so that is that, and we're going low on time. So let me go to the export. So when you hit export, this is a PD. This is what will go into your report. So let's walk through this briefly. You're going to get a really good explanation. One of the things we've learned on our office hours is appraisers are going, yeah, but how am I going to explain this? This is the coolest thing I've ever seen, but the underwriter, how am I going to explain it? We're explaining it for you. So we start by explaining what's going on and what the approach is. We talk about the filters that you applied. This is dynamic and will fill out based on your filters. We then talk about the tools training the model. We provide definitions of our market area, subject submarket, neighborhood, competing submarkets. We provide the heat map. This is actually dynamic. So if I want to get rid of those black dots, I can turn those off. I can center this or move it however I want. If I want to zoom in, I want to get a little closer. That's what it's going to look like. You want to set that up because when you export into your report, it's going to look just like you leave it here. We have a legend explaining to the reader exactly what all of this stuff is. We then talk about the market analysis and the time adjustment charts that are coming. We insert your charts, your commentary, the adjustments that you're applying to your comps, and you can see all that. And then this will go in a separate PDF. I can show you what that looks like in total, and then I'll hit export just to save a little time. This is what it looks like in total. You're going to get this filled out for you. You get this filled out for you. You get the top of page 2 filled out for you. And then you get your 1004 MC filled out. You get your dynamic commentary. And then you get these. Now, these don't look great when they're inserted as images to you, but I want to show you what they look like to the reader once this report gets XML'd in PDF, because it does look significantly different. So this is the PDF export. You can see that it's much more clear. Where's the one I have? Okay, here's the report. So once you PDF that report, it looked a little pixelated before, but you can see here it is way less pixelated once the reader gets it. So it's going to look a lot better to them than it does to you in the forms. So the documents that you get are going to be, this will go straight into your report as shown here in total. The 7 pages go right in there, so I can scroll through and you can see each of those. And so they're going to get those. You're going to get in your digital work file this information. So this is going to be to support kind of what is getting filled out for you in the report. So you have a hard copy of that in your digital work file. It's going to show your 1004 MC stuff. You're going to get an overview of the methodology used. I really recommend you reading this once, but it really goes through kind of the process and what's going on in the background. For those of you who say like, well, I need to understand the statistical analysis that's being done in the background because of USPAP. USPAP has an advisory opinion 37. Please read that. It basically says you don't need to understand the statistical formulae that was used. You just need to understand it and be able to explain it from a high level and agree that it's producing credible results. So you'll get this kind of appraiser white paper that goes through everything that's going on, the GAM model, all the calculations, and that all goes into your work file, which I could quickly show here. And I think that's about what I have time to touch on my side. So there's the work file. You get the methodology paper. You get the actual PDF of the thing that's going in your report. And then you get the 1004 MC data for your work file. So, Joel, I don't know. Oh, yeah, let me go over to this real quick. So FAQs real quick, cost. So the total integration is going to be free for the first 25 sessions. You get to run it 25 times before there's any commitment. And then it's going to be $50 for a year. The direct link to the total store, you can get that here. It's going to look like this. You see the free trial option, go with that one. Once you're done with that, then you would go with that one. TrueTracts for the software, it's going to be free for the next 3 to 4 months. We're not charging. So we'll figure something out in May or June, and we will let you know as soon as we figure out what the pricing and that bundled strategy will be. Sign up and coverage information, go to truefootage.tech/tool/TrueTracts. That will get you here. You can sign up by clicking this button. You can see coverage areas by clicking this button. Anything in green is live today. Anything with an asterisk will be live at some point in March. Right now, we're trending early March, but for sure at some point in March. We currently have 47% of the country live today. That's the green. Everything else will be another 40 to 45%. So we'll have over 90% coverage. And then we're working with MLS data providers to increase that even further. So that other 10%, we're not giving up on you guys. We're pushing and willing to pay our providers to try and map those MLSs and get us that information. Training. I highly recommend the YouTube channel. So our YouTube channel is here at truefootage.tech. There's a 50-minute training that I went through. I'm going to update that with the export stuff because that just went live last night. But this is a really good walkthrough that really just focuses on the nuts and bolts of TrueTracts. There's a webinar I did, which goes into a little bit more of the background. You're welcome to watch that. Join our Facebook group. We have tons of good questions there. That's where we make a lot of our announcements first, so we can help you there. And then I think this is really cool. It's been really well received by the people that have shown up. Daily office hours, every day from noon to 1. There's a few days that are exceptions. I'm doing a webinar or something. I'm on these office hours. All you do is you click that, you end up going right into the meeting, and it will allow you to join. You can share your screen. You can give me a session. I'll work through a live session in your market with you. It's been a lot of fun doing that. All this stuff, by the way, is in the tool. If you simply click the question mark, you're going to see the email, you're going to see FAQs, you're going to see our coverage, you're going to see the Google Meet link for office hours, and this is the 50-minute training. Was that everything? I think that's everything. I don't know if Julie or Joel, you guys want to, yeah?
I was going to say, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Joel.
Just really quickly, the first step for everybody is to visit the TrueTracts website and see if your MLS is currently supported. And of course, sign up for a TrueTracts account. Once you have the TrueTracts account and you verify that you can use your MLS within TrueTracts, then you'll visit the total store page. If you want the integration, we're offering a 25 reports or 30-day essentially trial of that integration. It is not required, obviously, to use TrueTracts, but if you want the direct total integration, you can get that inside of the total store, totalstore.alamode.com. I've also put that in as a reply in a couple of replies in the Q&A there. But my suggestion is don't get the trial from the total store until you verify that TrueTracts is up and running for your MLS. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah,
yes.
and I highly recommend the integration. Like, we built this tool first focused on deep analytics, but close second was efficiency, because we knew if we gave you a tool that took you 30 minutes to do market analysis, nobody wants that. So this can be done in 3 minutes. I have a video on there showing me do this in 3 minutes. But the integration with Total saves, I mean, just the 1004MC alone is 27 fields. All that stuff is getting filled out for you. And so from an efficiency standpoint, I think the total integration is awesome.
Appreciate it, Paul.
Yep.
Julie, you had some things?
Yeah. So Paul, I was just kind of skimming through, and apologies, everyone. We didn't have time to get to all of your questions, but we will follow up and answer them. After cost, I think the other big question we had, and Paul, I know you can't run through the entire entirety on this, but the question about great in an urban area, what about rural? Do you just want to briefly touch on that and maybe point people to the video that we have on that?
Yeah, so there is a video on our YouTube channel. If you go to our YouTube channel, you click on the TrueTracts tutorials. Hey, oh, hang on. All right, there is right here, rural property, 5 minutes. So I show that. So just quickly, TrueTracts in a urban and suburban market is awesome. It is not as robust in a rural market, but the value that you get from using TrueTracts at a rural market is actually more than in an urban environment. Because the biggest problem I know you guys in rural markets have is getting data. And this is going to help you get that data. And so you might have to draw bigger boundaries. You might have to use looser filters. But the idea of you guys only having to analyze 6 sales over the last 12 months and trying to figure out a trend, this will allow you to train a model on a bigger area and then find where are those other similar rural properties and rural markets that you can pull that data from to understand what's going on. Because if your rural markets are like mine, whether you're 70 miles from downtown Chicago or you're 50 miles from downtown Chicago, it's all kind of the same. You know your market, but this tool allows you to get the right data and get more of it so you can actually perform some level of analysis even on urban property or rural properties.
All right, Joel, anything else you want to add or say before we thank everyone for coming?
No, I think we're good. Folks, they've got a great product, and I do recommend that you watch the full videos that are already out there. Sign up for the TrueTracts, and then once you verify your MLS is ready on their system, then come get the total integration. Oh, there've been a couple of questions about the new UAD forms report that are replacing all of the GSE forms, the one that's replacing it. There is a section for market analysis. Neighborhood goes away, market to come in. This is for those of you who haven't taken the time to read it yet. And there's a place for the charts and graphs. There's a place for the analysis. There's a place for boundaries. Like all of this.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of questions on that about neighborhood. And we have a solve for that. I didn't go on to it here, but you can actually draw a separate neighborhood boundary if you think it's different. But the key is that we built this from first principles on what's the best way to get to the truth, what's going on in the market. And then we said, okay, let's build in the Fannie Freddie things that are required. But like I think Fannie and Freddie have signaled that a neighborhood is not that valuable to analyze. It's the market area that you want to analyze. And so that's why we've built this with a subject submarket, a competing submarket, and the ability to define a market area. We added the neighborhood because you guys need that for now, but that's going away.
There's a whole bunch of questions, like literally well over 100 that we haven't been able to get to. And these are great. We'll paw through them. I will say that the answer to most of those questions is answered somewhere on the TrueTracts main page. There's the white paper, there's the recordings, there's the FAQ stuff linked at the bottom, the MLS button at the top that jumps you to the list of MLSs. So I know obviously we're not going to be able to get to 100+ questions we haven't seen yet, but again, just visit the TrueTracts website to get the answers to most of that. And then for the rest of you, like I said, Paul is going to hop into a live class here in a little bit. You guys can ping him for some specifics if you'd like.
And it's very low friction. It's simply click the link, come in. There's other people in the meeting. Everybody kind of just jumps in with their thing. Sometimes we spend 25 minutes with one person on one thing, and everybody else is just silently kind of learning from that. But feel free to come, and you don't even have to have questions. We're hanging out talking TrueTracts market analysis and GSE guidelines.
All right. And just to let everybody know, we will follow up with a copy of the recording. So if you were busily trying to do other things, you will get a copy, and we'll try to get as many of those questions answered as possible. Thank you everyone for joining today. And
Thanks,
thanks
everybody.
for hosting us, Joel.
Absolutely. No, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it.
Take care.